My girlfriend broke up with me via text during chemo. After I put $30,000 into her house, so I documented everything. That was 2 years ago. She's now in a long-term care facility, calling for me daily while her daughter lives with her ex. My girlfriend and I were together for 4 years, and I believed we had an amazing relationship. We were both successful workers who each had our own houses in the same area and both had daughters living with us. Her daughter was 11 and mine was 16 when we first started dating. We had actually planned to get married, build a house, and raise the two together. We planned the house build because she had recently been diagnosed with a neurological disease that would eventually put her in a wheelchair and need something ADA friendly. During the planning stages, I began doing landscape and construction projects on her home to increase the resale value. All in, I invested roughly $30,000 into the home, running everything through my side construction business for tax, permitting, and resale purposes. We had a contract that payment would be made upon the sale of the home. I produced invoices for each and every project, but never pushed for payment because of the prior agreement. Fast forward 6 months and we're looking at property to develop and finalize drawings on the home when I began feeling ill. I couldn't eat, constantly vomiting and passing blood. I began noticing that my abdomen looked swollen, which was odd because we were both very clean eaters and were in the gym every day. So I went to the doctor and began having tests done. During this time, she began having small cognitive issues, and the stress of her current position was exacerbating her condition, so she took a $20,000 per annum cut in pay, along with a lesser position inside the company. After a month or so of different tests and a biopsy, it came back that I had a golf ball-sized tumor in my stomach and would need to begin chemotherapy, so I began chemo and radiation treatments, which made me extremely ill. She was spending time helping around my place on the weekends and staying over more, to the point that they were both at my home, more than theirs. At this point, I suggested that we go ahead and put one of our houses on the market and move in together until the new house was built. I have great supplemental insurance as well as a long-term illness plan, so using that coupled with the sale of one of our houses would push us through comfortably and help ease the financial stress on her. Shortly after this discussion, she became extremely distant. Her daughter wasn't coming down and hanging out with mine anymore. She had excuses for not getting together. She quit driving me to treatments and stopped staying over. She then dropped a bomb, a sentence that will forever be burned into my psyche. I love you, but I can't see myself taking care of someone this sick in the long term, and I don't think we should see each other any longer. She broke up with me over text, but it only got worse from there. I sat there staring at my phone screen, the words blurring through tears I didn't even realize were falling. My hands shook as I set the device down on the armrest of the chemotherapy chair. The IV drip continued its steady rhythm, while nurses moved around me, checking on other patients. The oncology ward suddenly felt colder, emptier. Emma picked me up that day. She took one look at my face and knew something was wrong beyond the usual treatment exhaustion. She helped me to the car without asking questions, just held my arm steady as we walked. Once we got home, I collapsed on the couch while she brought me water and crackers. "Dad, what happened?" she finally asked, sitting cross-legged on the floor beside me. I showed her the text. Her face went through a range of emotions, shock, anger, then a protective fury I'd never seen before. She grabbed my phone and started scrolling through recent messages between Stephanie and me. "This is insane," Emma muttered. "She was just here last week talking about paint colors for the new house." The next few days blurred together. I continued treatments while trying to process what had happened. Emma took over driving me to appointments, missing school to make sure I wasn't alone. She set up a schedule with her friend's parents to help with rides when she couldn't miss class. About a week after the breakup text, I finally worked up the energy to call Stephanie about the money I'd invested in her house. The call went straight to voicemail. I left a message asking to discuss the repayment terms we'd agreed on. No response. Emma started noticing things before I did. She showed me Stephanie's social media. All our photos together had vanished. The posts about our future plans deleted. It was like our 4 years together had been erased overnight. "Dad, look at this," Emma said one evening, showing me her phone. "Mackenzie said her mom saw Stephanie at Chez Laurent last Friday with some guy from her office." I didn't want to believe it, but the timeline made sense. Last Friday was the day she'd canceled coming to my treatment, claiming she had to work late on a presentation. I tried calling again. This time, when it went to voicemail, I mentioned the construction invoices and our written agreement. Within an hour, I received a text. "I don't know what you're talking about. There was never any agreement. Please stop harassing me." My construction business partner, Daniel, came by the house that weekend. He'd been helping me manage projects while I dealt with treatment. When I told him about Stephanie denying the agreement, his face darkened. "Walter, please tell me you have everything documented," he said. I pulled out the folder from my home office. Every invoice, every receipt, the signed agreement stating payment upon sale of the house. Daniel whistled low. $30,000, and she's just pretending it doesn't exist? Emma had been listening from the doorway. "We need a lawyer, Dad." The following Monday, I met with a real estate attorney while Emma sat beside me taking notes. The lawyer reviewed our documents and nodded. "The agreement is solid. The invoices through your business create a clear paper trail. We can place a lien on the property if needed." That same afternoon, Emma's friend Samantha texted her frantically. Her older sister worked at Stephanie's company and had major gossip. Emma came running into my room where I was resting after treatment. "Dad, you're not going to believe this. Samantha's sister says Stephanie has been telling everyone at work that she broke up with you weeks ago because you were emotionally manipulative about her condition." My stomach turned. Not from the chemo this time. Emma wasn't done. "And that guy Mackenzie's mom saw her with? That's Brad from her marketing team. He's married, Dad. He has 2 kids." I closed my eyes, trying to process this information. The woman I'd planned to marry, who I'd supported through her diagnosis, who I'd invested thousands of dollars helping, she was spinning a false narrative while possibly having an affair. Emma sat on the edge of my bed. "We need to find out more." I don't have the energy for this," I admitted. "Then I'll handle it," she said firmly. "You focus on getting better. I'll handle her." Over the next few weeks, Emma turned into a detective. She created a fake social media profile and joined the online support groups for people with Stephanie's neurological condition. What she found made my blood boil. Stephanie had been posting regularly about her journey and the struggles of dealing with her condition alone. She painted herself as a brave warrior who'd had to leave an unsupportive partner who couldn't handle her illness. The posts were full of vague implications that I'd been emotionally absent and had pressured her about money. "Dad, look at this." Emma showed me a screenshot. She posted this the day after she broke up with you. The post read, "Sometimes the hardest thing is walking away from someone you love when you realize they can't support you through your darkest times. Starting fresh and focusing on my health journey. Neurological warrior, self-love, new beginnings." The comments were full of support and praise for her bravery, people calling her an inspiration. My hands clenched into fists. Emma continued her investigation. Through mutual acquaintances and careful social media stalking, she pieced together more of the story. Stephanie and Brad had been spotted together multiple times over the past month, always at upscale restaurants, always looking cozy. Emma's friend's older brother worked valet at one of these places and confirmed they'd arrived and left together in Brad's BMW. My lawyer sent the formal demand letter for repayment of the $30,000. Stephanie's response came through her own attorney, a complete denial of any agreement and a threat of harassment charges if I continued to bother her. "She's really going to make us fight for this," Daniel said after reading the response. "Walter, I'm I'm sorry, but we need to move forward with the lean. I nodded weakly. The stress was making my recovery harder. My oncologist noticed at my next appointment. Walter, your blood work shows elevated stress markers. What's going on? Dr. Sarah Carter asked, her voice gentle but concerned. I found myself telling her everything. She listened without judgment, occasionally nodding or shaking her head in disbelief. I'm sorry you're dealing with this on top of treatment, she said, but you need to focus on your health. Let your lawyer and your daughter handle the rest. Emma had been sitting in the waiting room and came in at the end of the appointment. Dr. Carter smiled at her. You're taking good care of your dad, she said. He's lucky to have you. He took care of me my whole life, Emma replied. It's my turn now. As we left the hospital, Emma was furiously typing on her phone. Dad, I just had an idea. Brad's wife, her name is Lily, right? She should probably know what's happening. I don't want to get involved in. Dad, she deserves to know. Just like you deserve to know the truth about Stephanie. I couldn't argue with that logic. Emma spent the next few days gathering evidence. Screenshots of Stephanie and Brad's social media interactions, timestamps of when they'd been seen together, the whole narrative Stephanie had been spinning online about being a victim. She compiled it all into a folder. How are you going to get this to his wife? I asked. Samantha's sister can help. She knows someone who knows Lily. We'll make sure she gets it. Meanwhile, my treatments continued. The tumor was responding, shrinking slowly but steadily. Dr. Carter was optimistic about my prognosis. She always made sure to check on my emotional state too, knowing about the stress I was under. One afternoon, as I sat in the chemo chair, my phone buzzed. Emma had forwarded me a message. Dad, it's done. Lily has everything. The explosion came faster than expected. The next morning, Daniel called me laughing despite the situation. Walter, you're not going to believe what happened at Stephanie's office. It's all over LinkedIn. Apparently, Lily had shown up at Stephanie's workplace during lunch hours. In front of dozens of employees in the cafeteria, she'd confronted both Stephanie and Brad about the affair. She'd brought printed screenshots of everything. The romantic dinners, the lies Stephanie had spread online, even some flirty messages between them that she'd found on Brad's phone. She threw the papers at them and said, "Here's your brave journey, you home-wrecking liar," Daniel recounted. Security had to escort her out, but the damage was done. Emma was practically glowing when she got home from school. Dad, everyone's talking about it. Samantha's sister said Brad got called into HR. Stephanie left early and hasn't been back. I should have felt vindicated, but mostly I just felt tired. The woman I'd loved for 4 years had turned into someone I didn't recognize. Or maybe she'd always been this person, and it took a crisis to reveal her true character. My lawyer called that evening with good news. Walter, Stephanie's attorney reached out. They want to negotiate. I think the public embarrassment might have motivated them to settle. What are they offering? Full repayment of the $30,000 plus interest in exchange for dropping the lien and signing a non-disclosure agreement about the situation. No NDA, I said firmly. She doesn't get to silence me after everything she's done. I'll counter with full payment plus interest. No NDA. Given the evidence we have and the lien threat, I think they'll accept. Emma overheard the conversation. Good for you, Dad. She doesn't get to control the narrative anymore. That night, Lily showed up at our door. Emma had given Samantha's sister our address to pass along if needed. The 11-year-old looked lost and scared. Mr. Walter, can I talk to Emma? She asked in a small voice. Emma immediately pulled her into a hug. They went up to Emma's room while I made hot chocolate. I could hear muffled crying and gentle reassurances. About an hour later, they came downstairs. Lily's eyes were red, but she seemed calmer. I'm sorry about my mom, she said to me. What she did wasn't right. You don't need to apologize for her actions, I told her gently. None of this is your fault. She won't talk to me about it. She just keeps saying I wouldn't understand. Emma and I exchanged glances. We made sure Lily ate something before Emma drove her home. When she returned, my daughter looked troubled. Dad, Lily says Stephanie's been acting weird for months, even before your diagnosis. She thinks her mom was already seeing Brad. The timeline made horrible sense. The distance had started before my cancer diagnosis. I'd attributed it to stress from her own condition, but maybe she'd already been pulling away, and my illness just gave her an excuse to leave. My phone rang. Dr. Carter was calling to check on me after hours, something she'd started doing recently. Walter, I wanted to make sure you're managing okay. Your treatment tomorrow is an important one. We talked for a few minutes about my physical symptoms and medication schedule. Before hanging up, she added, Walter, I know this is unprofessional, but I want you to know how much I admire how you're handling everything. Your strength through this is remarkable. After I hung up, Emma grinned at me. Dr. Carter likes you. She's just doing her job, Em. Dad, she doesn't call other patients after hours. Trust me, I asked the nurses. I filed that information away, too exhausted to process it fully. The next few weeks brought rapid changes. Brad's wife filed for divorce and made sure everyone in their social circle knew why. Brad was transferred to a different department at work, effectively a demotion. Stephanie's reputation at the office was in tatters. My lawyer successfully negotiated the settlement. Stephanie would pay the full $30,000 plus interest within 60 days, or the lien would be placed. No NDA. The check arrived exactly on the 60th day. What are you going to do with it? Emma asked as I deposited it. Save it for now. Maybe when I'm better, we'll take a trip. You've earned it. Emma's investigation revealed one more piece of information that explained so much. Through the online support groups, she discovered that Stephanie's condition, while real, was highly manageable with medication. She'd been exaggerating her symptoms online for sympathy and attention. The eventual wheelchair prognosis was worst-case scenario, not inevitable. She used her diagnosis to manipulate people, Emma said disgustedly. Meanwhile, you're fighting actual cancer and haven't complained once. My treatments were working. The tumor had shrunk by 70%. Dr. Carter was thrilled with my progress. She'd started staying after my appointments to chat, bringing coffee and asking about Emma and my construction business. You know, when this is all over, I'd love to see some of your work, she said one day. I just bought a fixer-upper and could use some advice. Emma, who'd been pretending to read in the corner, shot me a knowing look. The universe seemed to be delivering its own justice to Stephanie. Daniel heard through professional contacts that the stress of the scandal had triggered a genuine flare-up of her condition. She was having real cognitive issues now, struggling at work. Brad had completely ghosted her once his marriage imploded. Karma's real, Dad, Emma said when we heard the news. Lily continued to reach out to Emma periodically. She was living with her father now, apparently. Stephanie's behavior had given him grounds to revisit custody. She sent Emma a message one day that made us both tear up. Thank you for being my friend through this. Your dad was the only stable father figure I ever had. I miss you both. Emma immediately texted back, promising to stay in touch and meet up when things settled down. My final treatment was scheduled for the following month. Dr. Carter Sarah, as she'd asked me to call her outside the hospital, had become a constant presence in our lives. She'd even come to dinner a few times, winning Emma over with her genuine interest in her college plans and her terrible dad jokes. I like her, Emma declared after Sarah left one evening. She's nothing like Stephanie. We're just friends, Em. For now, she said with a smirk. The construction business was picking up again as I regained strength. Daniel had held things together, but clients were happy to have me back. I threw myself into work, finding peace in the physical creation of something tangible. One day, while reviewing blueprints at a job site, I got a text from an unknown number. It was Stephanie. I know you hate me, but I wanted you to know I'm sorry. I handled everything wrong. You deserved better. I stared at the message for a long time before deleting it. No response was needed. Her apology couldn't undo the pain she'd caused, the way she'd abandoned me at my lowest point, or how she'd tried to steal from me while spinning lies. Emma saw me delete the message. Good for you, Dad. You don't owe her anything. As my health improved, we started making plans. The money from Stephanie would fund a father-daughter trip to Europe after my final scans came back clear. Emma had already started researching cities, creating an itinerary that included both tourist spots and construction marvels I'd always wanted to see. We'll send Lily postcards from everywhere, Emma decided. Let her know we're still thinking of her. The irony wasn't lost on me. Stephanie had broken up with me because she couldn't see herself taking care of someone sick long term. Yet here was my 16-year-old daughter, who'd become my caregiver without hesitation. Here was Sarah, who'd gone above and beyond her professional duties to support us. Even Lily, despite everything, still cared about our well-being. Stephanie had revealed her true character when tested, but in doing so, she'd also revealed the true character of everyone else in my life. Emma's fierce loyalty, Sarah's genuine compassion, Daniel's steadfast friendship, even Lily's brave honesty in the face of her mother's actions. You know what, Em? I said one evening as we planned our European adventure. I think Stephanie did us a favor. Emma looked up from her laptop, surprised. How do you figure? She showed us who she really was before we were legally bound, before we built that house together, before our lives were any more intertwined than they already were. Emma nodded slowly. And you found out who really loves you. Exactly. As I prepared for my final treatments, I felt something I hadn't experienced in months. Hope, not just for my health, but for my future. Stephanie's betrayal had nearly broken me, but it hadn't. I was still here, still fighting, surrounded by people who actually cared. The woman who'd said she couldn't see herself taking care of someone sick was now dealing with her own health crisis alone, abandoned by the man she'd cheated with. Meanwhile, I was surrounded by love and support from unexpected places. Karma, as Emma liked to say, was indeed real. And sometimes the worst betrayals lead to the best revelations about who truly matters in your life. The morning after deleting Stephanie's text, I woke to find Emma already in the kitchen, laptop open and phone in hand. She'd been up early coordinating something, and the determined look on her face told me she wasn't done fighting for justice. Dad, remember how Stephanie's been posting in those support groups? Emma asked, sliding her laptop toward me. Well, I've been documenting everything. Every lie, every contradiction, every manipulative post. I glanced at the screen. Emma had created a detailed timeline showing how Stephanie's posts about being a brave warrior directly contradicted the dates she'd been seen with Brad. One post claimed she'd spent a lonely evening dealing with symptoms, while timestamps from restaurant receipts showed her dining with Brad that same night. Why are you still digging into this? I asked, though part of me already knew the answer. Because she's still hurting people, Emma replied. Look at these comments. Other people with the same condition are comparing themselves to her brave journey and feeling inadequate. She's literally profiting off their sympathy while living a lie. My phone rang. Daniel's name appeared on the screen. Walter, I just heard from a client who knows Stephanie, he said without preamble. Apparently she's been telling people you fake the invoices. She's claiming you're trying to extort money from a sick woman. My hand tightened around the phone. The audacity of her lies still managed to surprise me. She already agreed to pay through her lawyer, I said. I know, but she's trying to control the narrative publicly, making herself the victim before the truth comes out. After I hung up, Emma was already typing furiously. That's it. I'm done playing nice. Over the next few days, Emma methodically compiled evidence. She reached out to people who'd seen Stephanie and Brad together, gathering statements and timestamps. She screenshot every contradictory post, every timeline discrepancy, every lie Stephanie had spread about me. Dr. Carter noticed my increased stress during my next treatment. She sat beside me as the IV dripped steadily. Your vitals are elevated, she said gently. Want to talk about it? I found myself telling her about Stephanie's latest lies. Sarah's expression darkened. Some people reveal their true nature under pressure, she said. But what you're going through, fighting cancer while dealing with this betrayal that takes incredible strength. Her hand briefly touched mine, and I felt a warmth that had nothing to do with the heated blanket the nurses had provided. That evening, Lily showed up at our door again. This time, she had a backpack and tears streaming down her face. Mom kicked me out, she said between sobs. She said I was being disloyal for talking to you. Emma immediately pulled her inside while I called Lily's father. He arrived within an hour, furious. This is the last straw, he said. I'm filing for emergency custody tomorrow. Would you both be willing to provide statements about what's been happening? We agreed immediately. Lily hugged us both before leaving with her father, whispering thank you over and over. The next morning brought unexpected news. Samantha's sister called Emma with urgent information. Brad's been fired, she reported. HR found out he'd been using company resources for his affair with Stephanie. Company credit cards at those restaurants, leaving early for their meetups while billing client hours. Emma relayed the information to me with grim satisfaction. Mom always said the truth has a way of surfacing. My lawyer called that afternoon. Walter, Stephanie's attorney is pushing hard for that NDA now. They're offering an additional $5,000 if you'll sign. No, I said firmly. She doesn't get to buy my silence. Good, because I have news. The lien is officially placed. She can't sell that house without paying you first. Small victories, but victories nonetheless. Emma continued her investigation, now with renewed purpose after seeing how Stephanie had treated Lily. She discovered that Brad wasn't Stephanie's first workplace affair. Through careful social media archaeology, she found patterns with at least 2 other married co-workers over the past few years. Dad, she's a serial homewrecker, Emma said, showing me the evidence. And she always plays the victim afterward. Dr. Carter Sarah started joining us for coffee after my treatments. It became an unspoken routine. She'd walk us to the hospital cafe, and we'd sit and talk about anything except cancer or Stephanie. Emma would excuse herself to check on homework, leaving us alone. Your daughter is not subtle, Sarah laughed one afternoon. She gets that from her mother, I said, then caught myself. Her actual mother, I mean. She passed when Emma was 12. Sarah's expression softened. I'm sorry, that must have been incredibly difficult. It was, but Emma and I got through it together, just like we're getting through this. She's lucky to have you, Sarah said, and you're lucky to have her. There was something in her eyes that made my heart skip. For the first time since Stephanie's betrayal, I felt a spark of something beyond anger and hurt. The universe seemed determined to deliver justice in unexpected ways. Daniel heard through construction contacts that Stephanie's house had developed significant foundation issues. The inspector she'd hired for the potential sale found problems that would cost tens of thousands to fix. Karma's working overtime, Emma said when she heard the news. My treatments were showing remarkable results. The tumor had shrunk by 85%. Dr. Carter was cautiously optimistic about full remission. Your body is responding better than we hoped, she said during an appointment. I think we can start discussing maintenance therapy soon. Emma squeezed my hand. We were winning this battle, even if the war wasn't over. That night, Emma showed me something that made my blood run cold. In one of the support groups, Stephanie had posted about considering a GoFundMe for her medical expenses and home repairs. She's going to scam people, Emma said. Use her condition to get money for the foundation problems. We can't let that happen, I said. Emma smiled, already on it. She showed me the message she'd crafted from her fake profile, asking innocent questions about Stephanie's treatment costs and insurance coverage. Other group members joined in, sharing resources about financial assistance programs. Stephanie's responses were evasive, contradictory. Within hours, the group moderators had flagged her posts for review. My phone rang at midnight. Lily's father. I wanted you to know, I got emergency custody, he said. The judge reviewed everything, including your statements. Stephanie's behavior was deemed harmful to Lily's well-being. I could hear relief in his voice. In the background, I heard Lily ask, can I talk to to Emma tomorrow? Of course, I told him. She's always welcome here. The next few weeks brought a cascade of consequences for Stephanie. The support group moderators had investigated her posts and found the inconsistencies Emma had highlighted. They banned her for violating community guidelines about honesty and exploitation. Brad's divorce was finalized in record time. His ex-wife had used the evidence Emma compiled to prove infidelity and financial misconduct. She got the house, primary custody, and substantial alimony. Couldn't have happened to a nicer guy, Daniel said sarcastically when he heard. My strength was returning. I started working half days at construction sites, carefully supervised by Daniel. The physical activity felt good, purposeful. Creating something tangible helped heal the emotional destruction Stephanie had caused. Sarah started dropping by the sites during her lunch breaks, bringing sandwiches and staying to chat. The crew teased me mercilessly, but I didn't mind. Her presence was becoming something I looked forward to. You know she's interested in more than your construction expertise, Daniel said one afternoon. I know, I admitted. I'm just not sure I'm ready. Walter, you've been through hell. You deserve some happiness. Emma echoed the sentiment that evening. Dad, Dr. Carter is amazing, and she actually cares about you. Not your money, not what you can do for her, just you. The 60-day payment deadline was approaching. My lawyer prepared the paperwork to execute the lien if Stephanie didn't pay. 3 days before the deadline, a cashier's check arrived for the full amount plus interest. She must have liquidated investments, my lawyer said, or borrowed against her retirement. Either way, you got what you were owed. I stared at the check. $30,000 plus interest. It felt like justice, but it also felt hollow. Money couldn't undo the betrayal or erase the pain of being abandoned during my darkest hour. Emma found me sitting at the kitchen table, check in hand. You okay, Dad? Yeah, I said, just thinking about how this all started. I invested that money because I loved her, because I thought we were building a future together. Emma sat beside me, and now you can use it to build a better future, one with people who actually deserve you. That weekend, Lily came to stay with us. Her father had a work emergency and needed childcare. She seemed lighter, happier than we'd seen her in months. Dad says Mom is moving to a smaller place, she told us over dinner. She can't afford the house with the foundation problems and having to pay you back. I felt a twinge of sympathy that surprised me. Then Lily added, she told me it's all your fault, that you ruined her life. The sympathy evaporated. Emma reached over and squeezed Lily's hand. Your mom made her own choices. None of this is because of us or you. I know, Lily said quietly. I just wish she could see that. Dr. Carter called that evening to check on me, as had become her habit. When I mentioned Lily was staying with us, she offered to bring breakfast the next morning. I make incredible pancakes, she said. It's my one culinary talent. She arrived early with grocery bags full of ingredients. Lily and Emma immediately warmed to her, helping mix batter and flip pancakes. Watching Sarah interact with the girls, seeing her genuine warmth and how naturally she fit into our kitchen, made something shift in my chest. After breakfast, while the girls cleaned up, Sarah and I sat on the back deck with coffee. This is nice, she said simply. It is, I agreed. Sarah, I need to ask you something. Are we? She smiled. Walter, I've been waiting for you to be ready to ask that question. I know you've been through something traumatic. I'm not in any rush, but yes, I'm interested in seeing where this could go. When you're ready, my phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. I almost ignored it, then saw it was from Brad. She destroyed my life. I lost everything because of her lies and manipulation. I know I was wrong too, but she pursued me, told me you were abusive, said she was leaving you anyway. I just wanted you to know the truth. I showed it to Sarah, who read it with raised eyebrows. Sounds like he's trying to shift blame, she said. Maybe, but it fits her pattern. Emma and Lily appeared in the doorway. Dad, can we show Dr. Carter the plans for our Europe trip? The rest of the morning was spent looking at travel guides and architectural photos. Sarah's enthusiasm for the trip was infectious, and she offered restaurant recommendations for each city. When I was in residency, I did a rotation in Paris, she said. There's this tiny cafe near Notre Dame. As she spoke, I caught Emma's knowing look. My daughter was already planning, I could tell. The next week brought final confirmation of Stephanie's downfall. She'd been demoted at work to an entry-level position. The combination of the scandal, her time away from the office, and performance issues related to her stress had made her previous role untenable. She's making less than her assistant now, Samantha's sister reported to Emma. I felt no satisfaction in the news, just a weary sense of cosmic justice. My final treatment arrived with unexpected emotion. The nurses who'd seen me through the worst gathered to celebrate. Dr. Carter was there, of course, but in a different capacity than usual. She held my hand openly as the last drops of chemotherapy entered my system. This is just the beginning, she said. Monitoring, maintenance, regular checks, but the hard part is over. Emma took pictures of the moment, tears streaming down her face. We did it, Dad. We hit this. We did, I agreed, pulling her into a hug. That evening we had a small celebration at home. Daniel brought beer, Lily and her father came with cake, and Sarah arrived with flowers. It was simple, genuine, and filled with the kind of love Stephanie had never understood. As the evening wound down, I found myself on the deck with Sarah again. The stars were bright, the air cool. I'm ready, I said suddenly. She looked at me questioningly. To see where this goes. You and me, I'm ready. Her smile was radiant. Good, because I've already fallen for you, Walter. You and Emma both. Our first kiss was gentle, tentative, full of promise. It tasted like new beginnings. Inside, I could hear Emma and Lily laughing about something. The sound filled me with peace. This was what family really meant. Not legal bonds or shared houses, but showing up when life got hard. My phone buzzed one last time. Another unknown number. This time it was a voice message from Stephanie. I almost deleted it unheard. Then curiosity won. Her voice was smaller than I remembered. Broken. I know you hate me. I know I destroyed everything. I just wanted you to know that karma is real. I've lost everything. My job, my daughter, my home, my health. Brad won't even return my calls. I'm alone, and it's what I deserve. I'm sorry, Walter. For what it's worth, I'm sorry. I played it for Emma the next morning. She listened without expression, then said, too little, too late. Agreed, I said, deleting the message permanently. The settlement money cleared my account. I immediately set aside funds for Emma's college, our Europe trip, and a donation to the cancer center that had saved my life. The rest went into savings, a safety net for whatever came next. You should invest in Sarah's house renovation, Emma suggested with a grin. One relationship disaster at a time, I laughed, but the idea didn't seem terrible. Lily became a regular fixture in our lives. Her father encouraged the relationship, grateful for the stability we provided. She and Emma grew closer, the sister bond they'd started years ago finally flourishing without Stephanie's toxic influence. One afternoon, while helping Lily with homework, she said quietly, I used to wish you were my real dad. The words hit me hard. I'll always be here for you, Lily, no matter what. Promise? Promise. Sarah's presence in our lives grew naturally. She joined us for dinners, helped Emma with college applications, and offered medical perspective that eased my anxiety about recovery. Unlike Stephanie, she never pushed for more than we were ready to give. I've been thinking, Emma said one evening as we planned our Europe trip. We should invite Sarah. I raised an eyebrow. That's a big step. Dad, she's been with us through all of this. She deserves to celebrate too. When I asked Sarah, she was hesitant. That's your special trip with Emma. I don't want to intrude. You wouldn't be intruding, Emma said, appearing in the doorway. You're family now. Sarah's eyes filled with tears. I would love to come. The final piece of Stephanie's karma came through Lily. She overheard her mother on a call, begging someone for money. The foundation repairs, the settlement payment, and her reduced income had left her in serious financial trouble. She was was crying, Lily reported matter-of-factly, saying she'd made terrible mistakes. I felt that twinge of sympathy again, quickly suppressed by Emma's sharp look. She made her choices, my daughter reminded me. Every single one. As my health continued to improve and life settled into a new rhythm, I reflected on the journey. Stephanie's betrayal had nearly broken me, but it had also revealed truths I needed to see. The strength of my daughter, the loyalty of true friends, the possibility of real love with someone who understood that partnership meant standing together through everything. The Europe trip was 3 weeks away. My scans were clear. Sarah and I were taking things slow but steady. Emma had been accepted early admission to her dream college. Lily was thriving with her father. Even Daniel's business was booming with the contracts I could now help fulfill. You know what the best revenge is? Emma asked one evening as we looked through travel guides. Living well, I guessed. No, she said. It's living authentically. Being who you really are, surrounded by people who love the real you. She was right, of course. Stephanie had worn masks, played roles, manipulated narratives. In the end, those masks had suffocated her. But we had chosen truth, even when it hurt. We had chosen love, even when it was hard. We had chosen each other, even when the world fell apart. My phone rang. Sarah, checking in as always. How are you feeling? She asked. Like the luckiest man alive, I answered honestly. Good, she said. Because I love you, Walter. Through sickness and health. The words Stephanie couldn't say, Sarah offered freely. The promise Stephanie had broken, Sarah was already keeping. I love you too, I said, meaning it completely. Emma smiled from across the room, giving me a thumbs up. In the end, Stephanie had been right about one thing. She couldn't see herself taking care of someone sick long term. But that blindness had been my salvation, leading me to people who could see clearly, love deeply, and stay faithfully. The universe had indeed delivered justice, but more importantly, it had delivered grace, and that was worth more than any settlement check could ever be. 2 years later, I stood in the arrivals terminal at Charles de Gaulle Airport, watching Emma navigate the crowd with our luggage. Sarah walked beside her, both of them laughing at something on Emma's phone. The Europe trip we'd planned during my darkest days was finally happening. My phone vibrated. A text from Daniel with photos of the latest project site. Business had exploded after word spread about how I'd handled the Stephanie situation professionally despite everything. Clients appreciated integrity, apparently. Dad, the car's here, Emma called out. As we loaded our bags, Sarah's hand found mine. The simple gold band on her finger caught the morning light. We'd married 6 months ago in a small ceremony with just Emma, Daniel, Lily, and a few close friends. No elaborate plans, no massive investment, just 2 people who'd learned what real commitment looked like. The hotel overlooked the Seine. Emma had booked adjoining rooms, insisting she needed her own space for college prep work. She'd been accepted to 3 universities but hadn't decided yet. The settlement money from Stephanie covered her tuition wherever she chose. That first evening in Paris, we found the tiny cafe Sarah had mentioned near Notre Dame. The owner recognized her immediately, greeting her with rapid French and enthusiastic hugs. You brought your family, he said in accented English, beaming at Emma and me. Family. The word settled warmly in my chest. Emma documented everything with her phone, creating a digital scrapbook. At each location, she'd take a photo and immediately send it to Lily with commentary. Their friendship had deepened over the past 2 years, especially after Lily's father got full custody. On our 3rd day, while exploring Montmartre, Emma's phone rang. She glanced at the screen and frowned. It's Lily. She never calls during school hours, she answered, her expression shifting from concern to shock. After a brief conversation, she hung up and turned to us. Stephanie's in the hospital. She had a bad fall at her apartment. Lily's dad is out of town, and the hospital called Lily as her emergency contact. Sarah and I exchanged glances. Despite everything, I felt a flicker of concern. Is she okay? I asked. Emma shrugged. Lily doesn't know much. She's scared and doesn't know what to do. We found a quiet corner of a cafe to discuss it. Emma was already pulling up flight information on her phone. We can't leave Lily to handle this alone, she said. She's only 13. Sarah nodded. I can call the hospital, get more information. Professional courtesy. While Sarah made calls, Emma and I sat in silence. The irony wasn't lost on me. Stephanie had abandoned me during my health crisis, and now she was alone during hers. We're not going back, I said finally, but we can help Lily from here. Emma looked relieved. I'll call her dad, help coordinate things. Over the next few hours, we managed the crisis from 4,000 miles away. Sarah spoke with Stephanie's doctors, learning she'd had a neurological episode that caused the fall. She'd been living alone in a studio apartment, her condition genuinely deteriorating without proper support. Lily's father cut his business trip short. Emma stayed on the phone with Lily, keeping her calm until her dad arrived. We arranged for a neighbor to check on Stephanie's apartment, make sure bills were paid. Why are we helping her? Emma asked that evening as we walked along the Seine. We're not, I said. We're helping Lily. She doesn't deserve to carry this burden alone. Sarah squeezed my hand. That's why I love you. You understand the difference between justice and cruelty. The next morning brought unexpected news. Lily's father called to update us. While going through Stephanie's apartment to get her some clothes, he'd found something disturbing. There were dozens of printed emails and screenshots. He said, all about you, Walter. She's been obsessively documenting everything about your life for the past 2 years. Pictures from Daniel's construction company website, Sarah's wedding announcement from the hospital newsletter, even Emma's honor roll listings. Emma grabbed the phone. That's seriously creepy. There's more, he continued. She had a notebook full of draft letters to you. Apologies, accusations, rambling thoughts, some dated just last week. I felt a chill despite the warm Parisian morning. Stephanie hadn't moved on. She'd been stuck, spiraling, unable to let go of what she'd destroyed. What should I do with all this? Lily's father asked. Throw it away, I said without hesitation. All of it. After the call, we tried to recapture our vacation mood. Sarah suggested visiting the Louvre, hoping art would provide distraction, but I could see Emma was troubled. She never let go, Emma said as we stood before the Mona Lisa. 2 years, and she was still obsessed with us. That's what happens when you build your life on lies, Sarah said gently. You become trapped by them. That afternoon, Lily texted Emma. Stephanie was stable, but would need long-term care. Her cognitive issues had progressed significantly. The apartment would have to be given up. Her few remaining possessions sold to cover medical bills. She wants to see me, Lily wrote, but I don't want to go alone. Emma immediately called her. I could only hear one side of the conversation, but I could tell she was being the supportive big sister Lily needed. We'll be back in 2 weeks, Emma said. I'll go with you then if you want to wait. When she hung up, I pulled her into a hug. I'm proud of you, Em. She's just a kid dealing with an impossible situation, Emma said. Someone has to be the adult. The rest of our Paris stay was bittersweet. We visited all the planned locations, the Eiffel Tower, Versailles, the architectural marvels I dreamed of seeing, but Stephanie's shadow lingered at the edges. On our last night in Paris, Sarah arranged a surprise. She'd booked a private dinner cruise on the Seine, just the 3 of us. As the city lights reflected on the water, she raised her glass. To surviving, she said. To choosing love over bitterness. To family. We clinked glasses. Emma added, to karma being more complicated than we think. The next leg of our trip took us to Barcelona. Emma threw herself into exploring Gaudi's architecture, taking hundreds of photos for her college application portfolio. She'd decided on architectural engineering, inspired by our construction work together. 3 days into our Barcelona stay, Brad reached out through LinkedIn. His message was brief. I heard about Stephanie. Despite everything, I wanted you to know I've been in therapy. What we did was wrong. You deserved better. I'm sorry. I showed it to Sarah and Emma over breakfast. At least he's taking responsibility, Sarah said. said. Emma was less forgiving. 2 years too late. I deleted the message without responding. Some bridges weren't worth rebuilding. Our time in Barcelona flew by. Emma dragged us to every gaudy sight, her enthusiasm infectious. Sarah practiced her rusty Spanish with locals, making us all laugh with her creative conjugations. For whole hours, I forgot about the drama waiting back home. Then Lily called again. Stephanie had been asking for me. She keeps telling the nurses she needs to talk to Walter, Lily said, sounding exhausted. She gets agitated when they say you're not available. I felt Sarah's hand on my shoulder, grounding me. I'm not going to see her, I said firmly. That chapter is closed. I told Dad that's what you'd say, Lily replied. He says he understands. After the call, Emma looked at me with concern. Are you sure? Maybe closure would help. I have closure, I said. I'm here with my family, living my life. That's all the closure I need. Our final stop was Rome. The ancient architecture left me awestruck, thinking about permanence and impermanence, what we build and what crumbles. Emma was in her element, sketching in a notebook she'd bought in Paris. On our third day in Rome, while touring the Colosseum, Daniel called with news that made me laugh out loud. You're not going to believe this, he said. Remember that house of Stephanie's with the foundation issues? The new owner just called me for a repair estimate. Turns out Stephanie never disclosed the problems properly. They're suing her. The cosmic joke of it all. The house I'd invested $30,000 improving was now a legal liability for her. Let me guess, I said. They want us to do the repairs? Already sent them a quote, Daniel replied. Full market rate, no friend discounts for karma's victims. That evening, as we tossed coins into the Trevi fountain, Emma asked what we'd wished for. Health, Sarah said simply. Peace, I added. Emma smiled. I wished for Lily, that she finds her own family the way we found each other. The flight home approached too quickly. Our last night in Rome, we sat on the hotel terrace, city lights sprawling below us. Emma was video chatting with Lily, showing her the view. Mom's being transferred to a long-term care facility, Lily told us. Dad says I don't have to visit if I don't want to. What do you want? Emma asked gently. I want to remember her from before, Lily said quietly, when she was still my mom, not this. After the call, we sat in comfortable silence. 2 years ago, I'd been in a chemo chair, abandoned and alone. Now I was in Rome with my daughter and wife, helping another child navigate the wreckage Stephanie had created. The flight home was long but peaceful. Emma edited photos while Sarah read medical journals. I dozed, dreaming of nothing in particular. Somewhere over the Atlantic, Emma nudged me awake. Dad, look at this. She showed me her laptop screen. She'd created a photo book of our trip, but interspersed with the tourist shots were candid moments. Sarah laughing at breakfast, me sketching building details. The three of us reflected in a shop window. For Lily, she explained. So she knows she's still part of our family, even if we're far away. My throat tightened. That's perfect, Em. Back home, reality waited. A stack of mail, messages from clients, the ordinary rhythm of life. But something had shifted during our trip. The weight I'd carried since Stephanie's betrayal felt lighter. The day after our return, Emma and I drove Lily to see Stephanie. The facility was nice enough, clean, professional, with gardens visible through large windows. Lily gripped Emma's hand as we checked in. You don't have to do this, I told her in the lobby. I know, Lily said, but I need to say goodbye. The real goodbye. Emma went with her while I waited in the lobby. They were gone 40 minutes. When they returned, Lily's eyes were red, but she seemed calmer. She didn't recognize me at first, Lily said. Then she called me Emma. In the car, Lily was quiet. Then suddenly, I want to show you something. She pulled out her phone and showed us a photo. It was Stephanie from years ago, holding a baby Lily, both smiling at the camera. This is how I'm going to remember her, Lily said, before everything went wrong. Emma reached back and squeezed her hand. That's a beautiful picture. Will you help me make a memory book? Lily asked. Like the one you made of your trip? Of course, Emma said immediately. That evening, as Sarah and I unpacked, she told me about a conversation she'd had with Stephanie's doctors. Her condition is progressing rapidly, she said. The stress of the last 2 years accelerated it significantly. Self-inflicted stress, I pointed out. Yes, Sarah agreed, but still tragic. She created her own prison and now she's trapped in it. Life resumed its rhythm. Work picked up. Emma started her college preparations in earnest. Sarah returned to her hospital schedule. But we'd added Lily to our routine, weekly dinners, help with homework, a stable presence in her increasingly stable life. 6 months later, Daniel called with news that felt like the final chapter closing. Stephanie's house finally sold, he said. New owners are gutting it, starting fresh. They hired us for the renovation. The irony was perfect. The house where I'd invested so much money and trust would be rebuilt by my company, every trace of its history erased. You okay with that? Daniel asked. More than okay, I said. It's just a house now. Emma graduated high school with honors. Sarah and I sat with Lily and her father at the ceremony, cheering as she walked across the stage. In her graduation speech, Emma talked about resilience, about choosing love over bitterness, about family being defined by who shows up. She caught my eye during the speech and smiled. We both learned those lessons the hard way. That summer, before Emma left for college, we took a smaller trip, just a week at the beach. Lily came with us, her father grateful for the break. Watching the three of them, Sarah, Emma, and Lily building sandcastles and laughing in the waves, I felt a completeness I'd never imagined possible. On our last night, as we watched the sunset, Lily said quietly, my mom's forgotten everyone now, even herself. Emma wrapped an arm around her. But you haven't forgotten who you are. That's what matters. I know who I am, Lily said firmly. I'm part of this family. Sarah reached for my hand. In the fading light, I could see our future stretching ahead. Emma in college, but never far away. Lily growing up with our support. Sarah and I building our life together one day at a time. My phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. Without looking, I deleted it. Some messages didn't need to be read. Some chapters didn't need epilogues. The sun dipped below the horizon. Emma and Lily ran toward the water for one last swim. Sarah leaned against my shoulder. No regrets? She asked. None, I said, meaning it completely. Everything led us here. In the distance, Emma and Lily splashed in the waves, their laughter carrying on the evening breeze. Tomorrow we'd pack up, drive home, continue with our lives. But tonight, we were just a family on a beach, whole and healing and home. The cancer was gone. The betrayal had scarred over. The money had been recovered. But those victories paled compared to this. The family we'd built from the wreckage. The love we'd chosen when hate would have been easier. The future we'd claimed when the past tried to drown us. Stephanie remained in her facility, lost in the maze of her own making. Brad rebuilt his life somewhere far away. But we were here, together. Proof that sometimes the best revenge isn't revenge at all. It's simply living well, loving deeply, and choosing grace. Even when grace is the hardest choice of all.